This gentleman, I've sent him all over the country this week. This is how humble this man is, right? It's big. Yeah, I've done it. He said to me, we've got to do what we've got to do.
Exactly.
This man is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. You love what you do, right? The teaching, the coaching.
I've always thought that I was a better teacher than a fighter. The fighting is something I can do, the teaching I love doing.
This is one thing that I've picked up on what I've watched. And people will teach a technique, so that the students are stood there and they're doing the technique. You're talking while they're doing their technique. You're telling them, and this is next level stuff. It's unbelievable. Watching you at work is absolutely unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's, again, ever since I can remember, there's fighting is what I've been doing. Fighting, my first fight was in '58. My last fight was in '96. And in each decade, I realized I was fighting different ways of fighting from each decade, but I found myself teaching behind it. So back then you had to be actually, I think you had to be 18, 19 years old to even consider getting black belt. But at 14, because I was hurting a lot of kids, they forced me to take a black belt test, and 29 black belts tested me in 3 days, and finally I passed it. So now I got a black belt at 14. I'm the youngest black belt because there was no such thing. So everybody kicked me, but my brother broke my ribs because he was angry that I broke tradition. And I said, don't look at me, they're the one that promoted me. From that point on, I realized I was fighting legends back then. And, back then, you're talking about Joe Louis, Skipper Mullins, all the, Chuck, all of them. And I said, I can't fight them, I'm just a kid. And they said, no, you're a black belt. Get out there. But because of that, they pushed me and taught me how to actually emotionally get past that and really fight against the legends out there. So
it was such a force. Yes. I mean, the footage that's out there, and this is now, they're bringing stuff, I see stuff now, more and more stuff with your fights. It's like something else, and then something else that you've done, and then something else that you've done. And the life you've lived, it's just been unbelievable.
It's been a really good journey. I went through maybe some sections of fighting for such a while, and then from there, I did my first movie. It was called Down the Drain. This was in '69, '70, called Down the Drain. I played a drunken hobo. And I wasn't looking to get in the movie industry. I was just a good, I didn't even know, they said, you stuntman? I said, yeah, I guess. But I was doing stunts that I just knew how to perform in front of an audience, and they told me I was a stuntman, and I said, okay.
From that to teaching famous people, in movies, and some of the best fight scenes with Jackie Chan.
Ah, yes.
Right?
When Jackie had me come to Hong Kong, I had no idea what I was going there for. And when I got there, Jackie didn't speak English. So he had an interpreter there, and I said, why am I here? And he said, he introduced me to Jackie, he said, he wants to see you perform. I said, well, who is he? What do you mean he wants to see me perform? Who is he that I have to perform for? He said, well, it's something that he's went through a lot of people, and he wants to see. So I said, okay, let me tell him to do something, and then I'll do. So he did round up, flip flop, bang, and I'm going, okay, I'm not a gymnast, but I did round up, flip flop, all the way back. And so then he did a spin kick. So I did a jump spin kick, jumped down in the dragon suite, and he goes. So then he got one of the stunt guys and held a bag and he said, well, keep it. I said, hard? He said, I said, okay. I kicked this guy so hard, one of the stunt guys, the bag went up, and I don't know, but he messed up his nose and was bleeding. And so Jackie looks at me and goes, and I thought, okay, so now what? And from that point on, he said he wanted me to be in his movie, and I said, doing what? And then I realized he wanted me to co-star with him in the movie. And so it was, he had 20 in his stunt team. And so he would get together and huddle with his stunt team and come back and do something. And then he would point, what would you do? So I said, okay, I would do this. He said, they went back and huddled. That's how, that's how the movie started. We did our own stunt work.
Friends ever since.
You know what I said? And I just saw him, before I came up here.
Did you actually?
Yeah, so we actually were very close, and he speaks English very well. But every time we used to have a rest, he would get right by me and sit. Right, and I would look at him like I turned and his face would be right here, and I go, I'm not used to this, but we became such good friends that I thought that at first I wasn't used to somebody being that close to me. But I realized I was just him, very friendly, very open, and wanted to practice his English with me. So
there's so much history. I mean, I could stand there all day. Whatever. The people want their pictures with you, but before they do. So, more recently,
yes,
there's a documentary being filmed right now. Is it in production?
Yeah, it's right now.
And rightly so, by the way.
So it's actually being edited right now as we're talking. They're editing and has some great actors in it and some. Matter of fact, I had footage that I didn't even know I had from 1969 to 1996. I have footage. And they didn't even make the projectors no more, but they had them transfer over, and I was surprised to see a lot of stuff on the videos there.
I can't wait. And this is it produced by Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
I can't wait. This is going to be brilliant. But you look back on your fights now that you've said that. Are you critical of your own fights when you look back at them, or you're just like, it doesn't matter?
Well,
you
know what? Back then, each decade, the fight game changed. Hey, and then especially when the Gracies came in '90, they came in and they introduced Rumble into the fight game. And so, all the way up until '96, it was called mixed martial arts. From '96 to 2000, then cage fighting, it took off. So we really went to class. So,
do you think you'd have converted? Would you have been a UFC fighter?
I was that one before they even thought of it. Because back then, when I was fighting in '73, there was no rules, there was no weight divisions. So I was able to, when they would come at me, I was able to throw people, stop, press them, lock them down. So, and that was it. There was no rules. So after that, the rules started to come in. They probably when the State Athletic Commission came into it, that was in '86, and they started making up the rules. And because again, a lot of people were getting hurt. So
I'm going to let you sign for the fans.
Okay,
For me, I started when I was 11. This is my highlight of my career right now. It really is, and I've done quite a lot. I really have. But for me, this is pinnacle, and I'm so grateful, and we're so grateful, right? We're so grateful. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, the jet, the one and only Urquidez.